It was year 179 when a new king assumes the throne in a land called Goguryeo. During that period, his wife Woo Hee, Wooso's daughter, was crowned queen. After the enthronement, King Namo starts a long war to reclaim the territories that were taken away by the Han dynasty during the previous king's reign. As the king prepared for battle, his brother, the fifth prince Goguryeo, assists him. While the king is away, the palace was sustained by the queen and prime minister Yulpaso. However, as the king's absence was prolonged due to war, new players in the palace began to appear. The Western authority, Hae-dae-bu, becomes ambitious in usurping the throne while using the state affairs as an excuse. More so, the leader of the northern Queen family, Myung-rim-oro, dreams of replacing the queen, and it must be from his family. He says the present queen is not bearing a son, thus, she must be replaced. There, Rim-oro urges debut in conspiring against the king. After a series of long battle, King Namu was able to reclaim the land and regain victory. Upon hearing the news, Queen Woo immediately prepares for a banquet as she's so happy that she will see her husband again after many years of waiting. While her sister Wooso, the head of the royal maid, assists her with her personal needs. However, when the king arrives, he was badly hurt and was secluded for immediate care. Worried, the queen runs into the room only to see him surrounded by filthy women who is not necessary in the place. Shocked and bewildered, she began to tear up and immediately leaves the room. While the king shoos the women away, the queen gets back to her composure and heads to the main palace to avoid suspicion that the king is deeply injured. Hours later, we see King Namo being pressured as he can't still accept the advice that in order to protect the queen, he must distance himself from her. It was then revealed that the women who were with him a while back was deliberately done to push the queen away and distance herself from him. With the banquet ongoing, rumors began to spread that the king was deeply injured. While the opponents are rejoicing, King Namo appears to make sure that the wolves surrounding them will stay back to their place. There, Queen Woo reminds the king that as long as his three brothers are with him, he has nothing to worry. Minutes later, the ministers, led by Rim-oro, pleads the king to dethrone the queen as soon as possible, because she wasn't able to produce an heir. They then threaten him of a bloodbath over the throne, once the issue was not resolved. Bewildered by the situation, Queen Woo goes straight to the king's chamber, but along the way, she finds Yulpaso and they played chess. There, she declares that she's not backing down. After the game, she meets the king and there, he tells her to step down and go far away where no one can find her. He says that's the only way he could protect her. Afterwards, while she reminisces about the king's words, she was told that the king had passed away. 28 years ago, during the Goguryeo Dangmanang festival, Woo Hee is trying to shoot an arrow but someone catches her attention while Yulpaso watches them. As young Namo is getting bullied, she shoots one of the thugs, surprising Namo of her archery skills. Short after, Namo asks who the girl is. 8 years later, at the Woo's family camp, the young girl Woo Hee is now a lady with a dream of becoming a general. Until one day, the royalty has sent his men to take Woo Sun's hand, her sister, to marry the second prince, but she refuses. Woo Sun believes that Namo will not be a king, which means she cannot be a queen. To save the family, Woo Hee comes in to the rescue and tells them she will be marrying the second prince, who is known to be the greatest warrior of the Goguryeo period so far. Having dreamed of being in the army, she went right away to the north where Prince Namo is in charge of. There, she met the prince for the first time and the whole army recognizes her as Princess Woo Hee. Most of the time, they spent hours of horseback riding through the plains. She then fully gave herself as the prince's wife and prefers staying in that place rather than in the palace. Until one day, before the previous king died, he gave the throne to his son Namu. He believes that if Prince Namo will be king, he can take back the land that the Han dynasty had occupied. Back to the present, before the king Namu died. Woo Sun, Woo Hee's older sister, who is now drooling for the king, assists him and wants to join him in his bath, but the king shoos her away, making her badly upset. The shaman who watches nearby gives her a love potion in exchange of making her the chief priest once she becomes a queen. She says just one drop in his food and the king will fall in love, thereby making her the queen. However, she made it into 4 drops, while telling the maids it's from the queen. After some time, when she goes back to see him, he is already dead. Yalpaso then tell the others to keep it secret for the time being except the queen while he plans to investigate the matter. Queen Woo, who is shocked of the news, declares that someone might try to harm him, so it must be investigated thoroughly. After hours of contemplating on what to do, Yalpaso tells Queen Woo to run away if she wants to survive. However, given the options, she chooses to marry one of the king's brother Balki in order to spare her clan. Immediately, Yalpaso arranges for her escape. After Mogul, King Namo's right hand accompanies her, Yalpaso orders the soldiers to lock the whole palace gates and stand alert. He orders them to shoot any messenger birds that tries to leave the palace to keep the king's death a secret. However, one bird was able to escape and Myeongrim from the north learns the secret. In a flashback, during the reign of King Namu's father, the king announced that the winner of the national chess games would receive a high position in the government regardless of their age or social status. There, young Woo Hee disguised herself as a boy and attended the games. She ended up winning. But upon getting spotted by her father, she quickly ran off. When Prince Namu saw her, he was impressed once again. On the other hand, when Namo becomes a king, he traveled to the rural town of Jwamulkan, Amnagok in West Goguryeo to appoint Yalpaso as his prime minister. The officials tried to protest about the matter. As for them, Yalpaso was a mere farmer and a descendant of the royal family of Juna. Many years ago, Go Namu's grandfather killed Yalpaso's family. Due to this, the officials worried that Yalpaso might be holding a grudge against the king. However, the king remained adamant in his decision and threatened to slaughter any clan that opposed him. He also clarified that Yalpaso was never to fight with a sword but with words. He wanted Yalpaso to use his intellect to protect the kingdom and not by sword. At this time, Yalpaso is busy investigating the king's death. He is surprised when he finds out that Woodu killed all the maids in the holding room. Woodu says it is best to silence them rather than putting the palace in chaos because of the king's death. Meanwhile, with the help of Yalpaso, Queen Woo and her men journeys to Baljiai's region. They spot a group of farmers on their way, but Mujiol and Mochi quickly realize that they are not farmers but assassins. When they stop for a water break, they decide to handle the matter quietly. However, the assassins are in great numbers and manage to reach the queen. But being skilled in swords gives her the advantage to protect herself and her group. This time, Woosun continues to eat an elixir she got from Sabi. She starts hallucinating about the king's death as she's guilty that she uses the potion more than the required amount. After dealing with the assassins, Queen Woo and Mogul began to realize that whoever sent the assassins must know that the king is dead. Back at the palace, the royal physician does a test to find the king's manner of death. He then comes to a conclusion that the king was killed by an extract from the lily of the valley. However, only the palace manages the flower. This means that whoever killed the king works in the palace. Yalpaso then orders his men to search the palace and investigate anyone who acts suspicious. They then start by visiting Sabi, but she shows them her elixirs and points out they are not harmful to anyone. She asks about the king, saying she can't see his star anymore. However, no one gives her an answer. Instead, she warns Yalpaso that he might be in danger because his starlight is dimming. Afterwards, Sabi sends one of her servants to investigate what is happening in the king and queen's chambers. After surpassing a series of assassins along the way, Queen Woo reaches Balji's kingdom and is mystified to see his ferocious deeds. In order to display his power, he hangs dead bodies from trees. When Balji learns of her arrival, he goes to welcome her and wonders why she visits at night. She lies that they're just passing by as the king was slightly injured and that she was sent to the north to capture Myeongrim's men. As we can see, the savage prince kills his people out of boredom. After seeing and realizing what kind of man he is, Woo Hee decides not to marry him, thinking that the present dynasty might suffer. But the thing is, she was given 24 hours to find and marry one of the prince just before the Jaga conference or she will be killed. Now, she is in a crossroad. In a flashback, we learn that the crown prince who was married to Myeongrim's family became a traitor and instead of killing him, Go Namu cut his nose before being exiled. As time is running short, she plans to find the last prince and asks her guards to help her. This means the queen must look for the youngest prince, so she convinces Mugul to help her and they escape in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, Woo Sun, who still dreams of becoming a queen, continues to have hallucinations. She sends a message to the Hee clan, informing them of the king's death. The Hee clan worry that the Hidden One made a move. They also worry that the queen is trying to secure her position by marrying Balji. So they start plotting on how to prevent the Woo family from taking the throne again. Now Hee Bu, the clan leader, plots to let Balji catch the queen and afterwards accuse him of being a traitor. Back at the palace, Yol Paso figures out who received the letter sent by the spy. He realizes that only the family related to the crown prince would have been so brazen. He then starts plotting a way to save the queen. At the same time, the assassins who survived send a message to Myongrim, informing him that they failed to kill the queen. This time, Balji learns that the king is dead. He then chases the queen, but she is already miles away. As expected, Balji is furious after realizing the queen's real intentions. He talks with Chonhyun and starts plotting how to use the queen to his advantage. There, he summons the white tigers and asks for their help to hunt down the queen. Back at Balji's place, we see Changhyun trying to tell Balji to be cautious. Even if he gets Queen Woo and marry her, he still has a wife from the Jua family and they will fight back for sure. But his wife is not in good terms with him because of her father. Thereafter, Balji decides to kill his wife, including the maids. He thinks that he can get away from it as his wife's family is not that strong to fight back. He then asks Changhyun to head to the north and convince the warriors to fight by his side. Meanwhile, Myongrim sends another group of assassins to go after Queen Woo. He wants her dead and will stop at nothing to make sure she doesn't return to the palace. At the palace, the guards continue to ransack the maids' chambers, looking for evidence. The maid sent by Sabai tries to get information from Miryu but fails. However, Miryu takes note that Sabai is acting suspicious when he spots her heading to Woo Sun's room. He informs Yol Paso and they decide to keep an eye on the shaman. At the same time, Yol Paso reaches out to Yunbai from the Jalban authority. He informs her of the king's death and asks for her help to protect the queen. This time, Queen Woo is in a crossroad, either to go back to the palace or to visit another prince. Mochi decides it is a great time to ask for more money for his services and is delighted when the queen agrees to pay him double the previous amount. Woo Sun tries to dissuade her sister from going to a different prince, but Queen Woo refuses. Soon the Myongrim assassin and the White Tiger warriors find them. The White Tiger warriors slay the Myongrim assassins but fail to capture the queen. When Queen Woo uses her body to shield Mochi, they decide to pull back as they're not allowed to kill her. After realizing the White Tiger is after them, Queen Woo decides to take a different route. However, the route they take is like a one-way ticket, there's no turning back and there's no other way to go. Once they're caught, it will be their end. As the page unfolds, we see Yeonbai attacks Myongrim's house and demands him to stop his assassins. As Myongrim refuses, she slays him without a second thought. She asks the next in line to call off the hit, but a message arrives, informing them that the assassins failed to capture Woo Hee. Yeonbai is pleased that Queen Woo survived and tells them that they, the Northern Queen's family, had lived like dogs of Goguryeo, when originally, Chumo had snatched from them the throne. Yeonbai then asks them who will they follow, the descendants of Chumo, or she, the descendants of Tabal, after the family pledged allegiance to her. She asks the name of their spy. However, only Myongrim knows his identity and now he is dead. She sends word to Yol Paso that the queen survived, but Miryu takes the partially burnt message after Yol Paso throws it away. At the palace, Sabai realized what Woo Sun had done after searching her room. Afterwards, she is shocked to see that the King Namo star has completely gone. But it doesn't end there. What shocks her more is that she's seeing things now completely different from what she saw before. Instead of Woo Sun, she saw Woo Hee staring at the golden throne nestled by crows. When she lifts her sword, all of the birds flew away.